Hey guys, Galapagos J, and in this video I want to talk about my inner barrel setup recommendation. In my previous video for the SLR unboxing and preview, I actually mentioned that I use this other material other than PVC or aluminum. Now I know that statement may sound a bit clickbaity, but the reason why I want to do it in a separate video is to really get more time to explain why I recommend this setup and sort of explain sort of the idea behind how that works. Now, this isn't something that I came up with. This is something that we've discovered from the forums and all that stuff, and it's basically an effort, a collective effort that everyone came to agree with that this particular material is much better than aluminum. Now, I don't know if that's already a known fact where you guys are staying at. If it is, then you should be able to enjoy a much better speed with that particular setup. But if not, then here it is. I'm going to share it with you guys. But before I go any further, as you can see, I have some typical inner barrels here, all aluminum and all that. There's this brand you may have used. This is called Fighting Bro. I'm pretty sure this a lot of people has used this brand before, but at the end of the day, aluminum is soft and light. Now, the problem with such a light and soft material is that it is very easily affected by vibrations from the gearbox, especially if you have a very high powered gearbox. Any gearbox which is doing like 70 to 75 muzzle velocity at a low fire rate, it doesn't get affected as much. But if you have very high fire rate, like 13:1 gear ratio or 16:1 gear ratio, you're gonna really have a lot of problem if you start putting more hardcore springs on it. So we recommend, after everyone's collective research sort of effort, we recommend to use copper tubing. Now, copper tubing at the same size, same length, it's a lot harder and it's a lot harder and heavier than aluminum. Now, the benefit of this is that if you have a higher powered gearbox, higher rate of fire, the vibrations do not transfer as much onto the gel balls as do the aluminum. Now, if you imagine a ball traveling down a tube, okay, if it's a lot wider than the ball, for example, if the inner diameter is like 7.5 millimeter and the ball is about 7.2 typically, you can imagine all the vibration is going to affect the ball in the form of impact. The walls will be hitting the ball as it exits the barrel. Now, although it's exiting the barrel at quite a high speed, the amount of times that it impacts the ball is enough to affect the trajectory and slow down the speed of it, okay? Now, if you have much less vibration in a tube, and also this is actually a lot thicker than the aluminum, it's around 7.2, I think, yeah, then you would have a much further range and better trajectory, because the vibrations are not like transferred to the gel balls as exaggerated as the aluminum tubes. Now, vibrations will still exist, but it really depends on how, like, the wave of the vibration, how high the peak and how low the whatever the trough is. But is it a trough? But anyway, so it's really trying to reduce the vibration frequency and the height of it through a much heavier and more harder material. Now, other than changing a different material, we also recommend that you add a stopper, gel ball stopper. This might be already a known fact, but gel ball stoppers look like these. I mean, there are many different variants, but they generally look like a little cap that you put at the end of the barrel. And the most important function of this is to stop the ball that is loaded into the three-way from falling into the tube halfway or just somewhere around in there, because the next shot fires, it will hit that particular ball and it will become like a little, you know, crappy, you know, sort of rollout effect. So it's really just to you know, stop that from happening. But the side effect of this is to sort of like it sort of squeezes the gel balls as well inside the tube. So in a way, you can imagine, you know, squeezing the ball a little bit, and then you apply the pressure from the gearbox, you know, the air pressure into it. It will sort of like increase the velocity a little bit. Now during our testing, we didn't like see any like huge significant increase in velocity, but it's generally in the vicinity of 2 to 4 meters per second in addition to, you know, what you already have. So I mean, it's better than nothing, but at the end of the day, it's really there to stop the balls from just falling out. So it's something good to have as well. So what you do is put this on one end of the tube. All right, I'm not going to jam it in because I don't want to use this yet, but basically you jam it in flush to the tube mouth, the exit of the tube, whatever, and then you put it into the three-way. But before you put it in the three-way, make sure you apply the airtight seal glue around the tube, and then you put it in there, give it a nice spin, a couple of revolutions, and then make sure that it's, you know, the excess comes out, and then you just leave it like that straight up. It will eventually settle into a nice little sort of like a, you know, sealed up sort of look. It won't look as bad as this, but yeah, this should give your three-way a very, very good airtight sort of application with the gel ball stopper and also the inner tube. Now beyond this, okay, usually obviously you will have an outer tube, right, outer barrel that looks like this, or whatever. Okay, just measure the inner diameter of these tubes and apply, you know, from various distances, electric tape. Make sure that when you put it in, it's tight enough that it's actually holding onto the inner barrel so that it does not move or vibrate, because that will actually help reduce the vibration further. So it will look something like this. I mean, this is very exaggerated because this I actually put in a silencer with a hop-up at the end applied, but essentially you're just trying to have the outer barrel stabilize the inner barrel at various different points to really reduce the vibration of the overall tube. We have found that this is actually currently the best solution into improving trajectory and also range. Now in my next video, I'm going to talk about hop-ups. Now I know that I have a pack of hop-up sort of like a bit visible in the background, and that's the one hop-up that I really highly recommend at the moment. I will go into further details on that video, but yeah, if you guys have any good ideas about inner barrel setup, what material you use, or so what habits you have, please share it with us, because I really want to see how you guys are doing it as well. And you know, the more information we share, the better it gets. So yeah, anyway, so that concludes this video, and I'm gonna start recording the hop-up. Yeah, anyway, peace.